There's something happening inside the Republican Party that I think people aren't talking about enough. For a long time, Republicans have been portrayed as one relatively unified political movement. Conservatives might disagree on specific issues, but the general idea was that they were all fighting for lower taxes, smaller government, traditional values, and a stronger America. But I'm starting to wonder if that picture is outdated. When you look at younger Republicans compared with the older Republicans, there seems to be a growing divide. Are young Republicans simply becoming more liberal, or are they becoming something entirely different? I don't think young Republicans are abandoning conservatism, but in some ways they may actually be becoming more populist, more anti-establishment, and less willing to blindly defend the modern Republican Party. And you can see this divide in several major issues. Let's start with Donald Trump. Trump obviously transformed the Republican Party. His rise created a completely different type of Republican voter. Someone who was skeptical of the media, skeptical of the establishment, more concerned about immigration, and less interested in the traditional Republican foreign policy. But there may now be an important difference between supporting Trump and being completely loyal to Trump. A lot of older Republicans see Trump as the person who finally fought back against the political establishment. And considering what happened during his presidency and the way many institutions reacted to him, it's completely understandable why so many people remain very loyal to him. But among younger Republicans, I think the support can be a little bit more complicated. Younger conservatives might still support and vote for Trump. They might still prefer him over Democrats, who wouldn't. They might still believe the country was better under his leadership. But they're also more willing to ask, what happened to the promises? What happened to reducing government spending? What happened to fighting the corruption? What happened to holding the political establishment accountable? What happened to putting America first? Why should we blindly trust either party? And I think one of the biggest generational divides may be foreign policy. Now, for decades, most traditional Republicans generally supported a strong American role around the entire world. But many younger Republicans are questioning the idea that the United States should constantly be financially and militarily involved in conflicts around the world, while Americans are struggling with problems at home. And I think Israel has become one of the clearest examples of this divide. Older Republicans are generally much more likely to view strong support for Israel as an obvious and essential part of conservative foreign policy, but younger Republicans are increasingly willing to question that relationship. How much is America spending? What are we getting in return? What is our long term strategy? I think the economic divide is also extremely important. A lot of older Americans grew up in a very different economy. You could work a relatively normal job and have a realistic path towards buying a home, supporting a family, and building a stable life. For many young people today, that path feels much less realistic. Housing is expensive, rent is expensive, groceries are expensive. College can leave young people with enormous debt, and even people who are working full time can feel like they are barely moving forward. So, when politicians tell young people that the economy is doing great, a lot of them just simply don't believe it. They're looking at rent, they're looking at home prices, and they're wondering how they are ever supposed to reach the same level of stability that previous generations often reached much earlier. And I think this creates an important political shift. But that doesn't mean they're satisfied with the current economic system. They're increasingly asking whether the system is actually designed to benefit ordinary Americans or whether it primarily benefits large corporations, wealthy investors, politicians, and people who already own valuable assets. And then I would say there's the issue of broken promises. This might be one of the biggest reasons younger Republicans are becoming more skeptical of Republican leadership. For years, voters have been promised solutions like securing the border, reducing government spending, protecting free speech, fighting corruption, draining the swamp, holding powerful institutions accountable, and making housing more affordable. And yet, election after election, many voters feel like nothing changes. Republicans campaign on one set of promises, Democrats campaign on another. But the government keeps spending money. The national debt keeps growing. Washington only keeps getting bigger. And ordinary people keep feeling like they have less influence. So, yeah, younger Republicans are becoming increasingly skeptical, not just of Democrats, but of the Republican establishment itself. And honestly, I think that's one of the biggest differences between this generation and previous generations. Younger conservatives don't necessarily see the Republican as the good guys. They often see Republicans as the less bad option. And that's a huge distinction. Now, when it comes to social issues and the culture wars, older Republicans often place a much stronger emphasis on traditional social conservatism, religion, family values, abortion, cultural issues. I would say younger Republicans are much more complicated. Some are extremely socially conservative, others are much more libertarian, and some simply don't want every political conversation to revolve around what someone else is doing in their personal life. That doesn't mean younger Republicans are abandoning conservative values. It just means there may be a shift in priorities. For a lot of young people, affordability, housing, corruption, free speech, government power, technology, and the future of the economy can feel more immediate than some of the traditional culture war battles. And that creates another generational divide. In fact, in some ways, younger Republicans may be moving further away from the traditional establishment than older Republicans ever did. They are more skeptical of the media, more skeptical of corporations, more skeptical of government agencies, foreign wars, and we are more skeptical of our own political party. We want lower taxes and less government, and we want to know why massive corporations have so much power. We support America, but we don't necessarily believe in America should be involved in every conflict around the world. And some of us may still support Donald Trump while still being willing to criticize him. So maybe the Republican Party is experiencing the beginning of a complete transformation for the future of America. A new generation of Republicans. They are still conservative in many ways, but maybe a little less traditional, less loyal to the political institutions, and less trusting of the establishment and establishment politicians, and possibly more willing to challenge everyone, including Republicans. The question is whether the Republican Party will adapt to this generation or if this generation is going to create something new. The political divide of the future might not just be between Republicans and Democrats. It might also be between the Republicans who want to preserve the old Republican Party and the younger conservatives who believe that party stopped representing them a long time ago. Now, obviously, I am just one person, and I don't speak for every young Republican. I'm sure there are people watching this who completely disagree with me. And honestly, that's kind of the point. I am not saying older Republicans are wrong or younger Republicans are right, but I think there is a real shift happening within the Republican Party, and I think it's worth talking about. Now, I myself am a younger right leaning person. I don't want to automatically agree with Democrats, but I also don't want to feel like I have to defend Republicans no matter what they do. If I think Republicans are wrong, I'm going to say it. If I think Democrats are wrong, I'm going to say it. And I'm curious what you think. If you're a Republican, especially if you're younger, do you feel this divide? Do you think the Republican Party still represents you? Let me know what you guys think, and I will see you guys in the next video.